Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a special edition of Mike Check Take Two, brought to you by the Inside Edge Network. I am your host, the DAVID, the Real Ruiz, and I'm here with everyone's favorite season, Autumn, on your Cavs post game coverage episode for Game 6.
Yeah,
Are
we're
you
about
okay,
three
Autumn?
hours. Yeah, we're about 3.5 hours later than
You doing all right?
it's past my bedtime, David. I'm fine. Look, we'll talk
Yeah,
about this
mine too.
game. They had me stressed out, not gonna lie. We'll get into it in a minute, but like you mentioned, please follow us, like us, subscribe, support the Inside Edge Network by liking us, subscribing to us. Also, we have a ton of network sponsors. We'll sprinkle them in throughout the show. But David, let's start off with the reason why we are here so late, and that is the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cleveland Cavaliers succumb in overtime to the Toronto Raptors. Now the game was looking dicey at halftime. They were down 10, coming back like from halftime. It looked a little crazy, but they clawed their way back. They tied the game in regulation. Toronto just kept up the pace though, and they go to overtime. They take the lead in overtime, by the way. They took the lead twice in overtime, and on a last minute shot, Toronto seals the game on a controversial call. I'm calling it a controversial call. But we talked about this on Sunday. The Cavs needed two factors. They needed Donovan Mitchell to get his head together. We've seen over the last two games that's not really changed. He really hasn't gotten his head together. But we also said that there had to be two other factors. What were those two other factors that I said it had to be?
Well, number one, we had to get our bigs involved. Evan Mobley had to have a big game. Jared Allen had to have a big game. Also, we had to eliminate the turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the two huge factors going into Game 6. We've suffered from losing the turnover battle game after game going into Game 6. We had to win the rebound battle. There was a lot of different things going into this game that we had to fix. And at first, I didn't think they were doing a very good job of it, to be completely honest with you. I was really nervous. What did you see from Jared Allen and Mobley this game that you haven't seen in the previous 5 games?
Well, I saw them get involved. So first of all, let's go over the total stats. So total rebound, they out rebounded Toronto 52-38. Offensive rebounds 19-10. Defensive rebounds 33-28. They had less assists, less blocks, less steals, more turnovers. Toronto scored 25 points off those turnovers. They also had more fast break points. The Cavs had more points in the paint with 54, which is much better. They had the same points per possession, but the big thing that Toronto has capitalized on that the Cavs cannot is that free throw battle. Even though the Cavs had more free throws, Toronto was 19 of 23 versus the Cavs, who were 19 of 27. If they make 3 more free throws, this is not a what are we doing going into Game 7 kind of talk. This is more of a what do we build off of momentum. But they played a much better game than they did Sunday. The game was much closer, but they still can't get it done. But Jared Allen and Evan Mobley definitely stepped up. Evan Mobley with 26 points, the most on the team. Jared Allen with 14. Donovan with 24, but James Harden with only 16. James Harden cannot be your fourth leading scorer. He cannot be your fourth leading scorer, y'all. He cannot. He cannot. He has to be number one.
At the end of the first half, at the end of the first half, you had Donovan Mitchell and James Harden combined for 15 points, and that's just unacceptable. If you're trying to win a game, especially a close game against a tall, athletic, young, gritty team like the Toronto Raptors, something that really got under my skin, I'm not going to lie to you, it's in the second quarter, with 11:34 left to go in the second quarter, Shed had 3
Mhm.
fouls. Shortly after that, RJ Barrett had 3 fouls. They kept Shed in the game, and they did take RJ Barrett out for a little bit. But why not attack Shed? Why not go after him and force him into further foul trouble, possibly get fouled out sooner? That's a question I would like to ask Kenny Atkinson. Like, what was the thought process behind that? What do you think the thought process behind that was by not attacking these players in foul trouble?
I think it's a mind thing with them. We've talked about this on Sunday.
Mhm.
I saw it last game. It was a mind thing, and I think it's still a mind thing with them going into now game 7 is that they're so scared of themselves getting into foul trouble because you saw the game in the second quarter get away from them completely. It really got away from them in the second quarter. To go
Mhm.
down by 10 going into half, it really, really, really was bad for them. But I'm going to say this. There are more positive in these games than there are negatives. Of course, like I said, Donovan was your second leading scorer. No, he was your first? No, second, which is something he has to be. Him and Harden have to be 1 and 2, and it has to be that. He cannot be number 3, number 4. He has to be number 1 or number 2. So the fact that he's number 2, Evan Mobley as your number 1 scorer, you cannot have that happen either, but I'm glad he was involved. But I think the other thing is that the Cavs bench, what are we doing? You had a great bench last season or last game. Dean Wade came off the bench with 10 points. Jalen Tyson only 5. Dennis Schroeder, who was your best player last game, only 7 points. Sam Merrill only 2 points. And Max Strus only 6 points. Thomas Bryant was -7. He was -7.
Hmm. I don't
So
recall seeing him in the game
he only played
at
7
all
minutes.
during this series.
He only played 7
Yeah,
minutes
this,
this game.
this was well, not the
But
game, like any game. This entire series, I was questioning why he was in there. Maybe it was for size. I'm not entirely sure. I think the biggest key factors of why the bigs got involved so early is they're missing the length of Ingram. No Ingram, no size. It gives the bigs the ability to make the plays we know they're capable of. I was really nervous about Jared Allen early after he took that fall in the first, early into the first. I didn't know what we were going to see from him. He did make a couple key blocks going down the stretch, and he had a couple key offensive rebounds. But it felt like no matter how close we got, there was just a lid. There was a cap right over blowing the game open. That's how I
yeah,
felt the entire game.
and honestly, I'm gonna say I'm not gonna be negative after this game because I'm gonna go into game 7 with a positive attitude. Okay, we have to be positive. Okay, because
Mm.
there are like I said, there are 3 game 7s that are going to be happening. It's going to be Cavs versus Raptors, Boston versus the 76ers, which that shouldn't even be happening, and then Orlando versus Detroit, which I can see that one happening. But I think the most positive thing is that even with the largest lead, I think Toronto's largest lead was I think what was it, 15?
Mhm.
Yeah, it was 15. The Cavs never let that actually get into their head and never let that actually said like, okay, we can't come back because we saw them outscore Toronto in the entire fourth quarter. That's how it even
Right,
gets. That's how you get tied. The Cavs outscored them. I think Toronto scored 10 points in the fourth quarter,
right.
maybe 12.
Well,
That's what you need.
it was really tough though because going into halftime, Toronto went on that 13-2 run,
Hmm.
going in a little bit after the half. And even if we won this game, I'm gonna be honest with you, I was gonna feel like we lost because it was so exhausting watching
I
how
know.
hard they were trying. And the Cavs are the 6th oldest team in the NBA. We have the
Hmm.
veterans. We have players that have been around the block a couple of times. We have our system. We have our big 4. We keep bringing them back with the exception of James Harden. We're
Hmm.
bringing back these role players. And look, I keep bringing this up about Max Strus. You know, I was thinking deep in my soul who Max Strus reminds me of. Do you know who he reminds me of? He
Matthew
reminds me of
Dellavedova.
he reminds me of the Avatar. Because when the Cavs needed him most, he vanishes. He literally vanishes. I can't sit
Oh
here every
my
time
God.
he's on the court. I get so irritated. With that being said, the Toronto Raptors, they're one of the youngest teams in the league. Do you know who the oldest player
Mhm.
on their team is?
Is it
RJ Barrett at 25
I was
years
about
old.
to say it's either RJ Barrett or Brandon Ingram. Those got to be the
He's
two.
25.
Hey,
He's
look, I'm a
25.
look. I
I
know
feel like they're soft, Autumn. They're soft.
it's
They're
it's not
constantly
even
getting
just.
bullied. It's hard to
I
watch.
know they're getting bullied, and I know after the first two games we thought this series was in hand, and even last game, they
Mhm.
struggled mightily last game. They really should have lost. They really shouldn't even be in this series for real. For real, they should have lost last game, but they pulled it off with veteran play from Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder is a veteran. He's been in this
Mhm.
league for how long? He's been in this playoff position how long?
He has two
Hell,
gold
the
medals.
Cavs, yeah, the Cavs have literally been on the end of a Dennis Schroeder playoff game. Remember when he was with
Mhm.
Atlanta? Remember when he was
Right.
with like Indiana? We've been on the end of it. So I'm just gonna say this. I'm gonna go into the next game positive. Now look, in this series, each home team has won the game.
Mhm.
So people have held home court advantage. Now, what do you think going forward into next game? Do they have to take the momentum of the fourth quarter of this game and say, we know how we play. We know how we played the first two games. We know that, look, I say this, whether it be an ugly win or ugly loss, each of it it's an experience. So
Mhm.
you know what it is to play in the playoffs. You know what it is to win. You know what it is going forward. Max Strus has been in the finals before. None of outside of Max Strus and James Harden, nobody else has been in the finals.
Mhm.
Nobody else. But you need
Well,
to learn
that
how to
poses the
win.
question.
They need to learn how to win together, though. If they don't learn how to win together and you break up this team, it's like, well, nobody's ever going to learn and they're going to take these bad habits to other places. They need to learn how to win together. And I think going into next game, that's what you got to focus on, winning together. Because coming in together at the end of the game almost won you the game, but because of some questionable calls, you didn't win.
I think the biggest question is Donovan Mitchell at this point. If we don't win this
Yeah.
series, and I know he's the guy. Everybody wants him to be the guy. He's likable. During the regular season, he's phenomenal. But even going back when he was in the West with Utah, he he never made it to the Western Conference Finals. He's never made it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
I
And
know.
it seems like he's one of those players that are going to be great, and he's going to give you those highlights, and he's going to give you the scoring. But once it comes times for the playoffs, he disappears.
He got to get
There's
that.
no.
It's a mental thing. It's a mental thing. It's a mental thing with him.
I was
It's a
picking the
mental
brains of
thing.
some other fans all day before the game, getting their thoughts on Donovan Mitchell, and I keep getting the same Homer responses of how much they love him and how much he's the answer. But if we don't win this series, he needs to self-reflect. Does he want to be in Cleveland? Does Cleveland want to keep Donovan Mitchell? Is the real question. What are your thoughts on that?
I think, look, I love Donovan myself, but I'm very honest. I'm very honest about his game. Okay. I think he hasn't even reached the stratosphere of his game. I think he
Mhm.
could take the next steps. He has to be willing to take something. It's a mental block within him. We all have a mental block. Literally. We all have a mental block sometimes at that time. He has to take that mental block off and take those next steps. And I think if he does that in game 7, then he can go far and he can go wide. But I think if he doesn't win this series, which I'm knock on wood, you're not here on a Sunday saying, wow, the Cavs really blew this one. I think they will win. I think home court advantage is a very, very important thing. But I think with Donovan, if he doesn't win this series, the Cavs probably will get rid of him. They're probably not going to sign him to a long-term
Mhm.
deal. They're probably going to go younger. And they have Max Strus under contract. They'll probably make him and Strus a package deal. Harden will probably leave. And you got to get younger. You got to get
Mhm.
younger. They'll probably also trade Allen. they'll keep Mobley because Mobley is probably your best player right now, but you got to get younger. You got
It's
to
crazy.
build a
I
younger
would even
team.
disagree on that a little bit. Our best player is James Harden. He's our best player. He shouldn't be, and he
He
shouldn't
shouldn't
be.
be.
I
He
was
shouldn't. He
expecting
really shouldn't be.
I was expecting James Harden to come in, play third fiddle, pass the ball because he's a phenomenal passer, even though he gets all those turnovers, get the bigs involved, which we saw from him early on when he was traded to Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
But this whole time coming into the playoffs, yeah, he's been there before. He's had that veteran presence, but to be playing better than Donovan Mitchell just it raises red flags to me. I'm gonna be completely honest. It raises red
I
flags.
know. I know.
I
It
do want
raises
to
a
say
lot of red
this really quick,
flags.
Autumn. Double A just made a comment, and I'm so glad he did because I haven't heard from him since the game ended. And I was going to have the other people on the network do that wellness check he was asking for. So thank you for letting us know you're okay, Double A.
Oh my God. No, I honestly, I don't think the Cavs are full of B plus players. I think they have A plus talent. It's just the mental. It's just the mental. It was way too many turnovers. They got to get that turnover thing under control. And you have to. This is the point of the year where you cannot miss free throws. Evan Mobley, I need you to be in that gym tomorrow, trying to make them free throws. In the season, okay, it's a couple times here and there in a blowout game, you don't make it. You are in the playoffs. You are trying to win a championship. Every missed free throw literally could cost you a game. And it literally cost them a game. If they made 3 free throws, we would have won the game. That's it. You won. You won every battle that they didn't win last game. You played exponentially better. You shot exponentially better. All of you scored exponentially better. You just needed that one
Well,
little
even
thing.
even even in the first quarter, in Autumn, in the first quarter, we out rebounded the Toronto Raptors, 11 rebounds to 3, and the first quarter still ended 32 up. How
I
is that even
know.
possible? You're winning the rebound battle, and we keep saying it over and over again. It's these damn turnovers. It's the turnovers. It's the lackluster passes. It looks like they're not
It's
disciplined, and I would hate to say that
yeah.
because a big thing about Atkinson coming in was how he was going to show these players discipline and how they were going to be able to evolve under his tutelage. Right now, that's not looking like the case, and it's looking like the same old Bickerstaff Cavs.
Honestly,
They said,
like I said, JB's gonna JB. Somehow JB didn't JB it up today. We can actually get to that. The Cavs will be playing this Sunday. Time to be determined at home. Again, like I said, they will not be the only team playing on Sunday. In fact, the Magic and the Pistons will be playing. The Pistons erased a 24-point deficit to come back and beat the Magic 93-79. What do you think about that series? I think that's probably one of the most entertaining series because Orlando is by far a better team than Detroit. Even though Detroit was number 1 in the conference, but they've been playing by 20 times better.
I do think so. The thing with Orlando, they're actually very similar to the Toronto Raptors, where they're a matchup nightmare because of their size and youth. And it's a lot of the same things. It's why a couple years ago the Orlando Magic took us to a game 7 in the first round. Also, it's the same concept. We're getting the same kind of ball play, and realistically, the Toronto Raptors are better than I thought. And I think, like you said, you believe the Orlando Magic's the better team. I also believe that, and also I also think Orlando has the better player. Paolo to me is one of the best players in the league. He's entertaining. He's fun to watch. He can stretch the floor. He can take you to the paint. He can facilitate. So it's one of those things where does the better team or the better player wins? And I think that's where we are in that series with the Pistons and the Magic, because I think majority of the time the better team wins, but we've seen time in and time out that the better player in the NBA can make a statement.
Yeah. Honestly, I wasn't surprised. Well, I was surprised. I remember telling you I was surprised at game 1 and how like Orlando won, but the more I've seen this series, the more I'm like, no, Orlando is the better team. Look, a lot of people like JB Bickerstaff here. I didn't mind him here. I actually thought he like came in and took over a team that was kind of in shambles, made them a playoff team, but JB Bickerstaff is going to JB Bickerstaff it up. And he's going to have a win where the team comes from behind 20. But then they're going to have another game where they're down 20 and that's going to be the end of it. Okay? But I think by Sunday, I don't know. It can go either way, but I think with the way the series has been going, I think unfortunately Detroit is going to pull it out. They're the number one team in the conference. I'm gonna just say this: the NBA does not want a Orlando Cleveland series. That's just not something that they want.
That's what I want. I want to continue to have home court advantage going into the second round because we can't win away for some reason.
I would love to have a Orlando Cleveland series as well, but I think the NBA having your number one seed lose again in the first round would be something bad. But let's move on. The Lakers are currently leading the Rockets 49-31 at halftime. LA is up 3-2. If LeBron pulls this off, he will once again cement his status as the greatest basketball player of all time. Tomorrow, the 76ers and the Celtics will play in a game 7. I thought the 76ers were dead in the water. Joel Embiid goes out towards the end of the season with an appendix surgery. And I didn't think he was coming back. Somehow, some way, he comes back, and he has been the deciding factor in this series. The Celtics have no answer for him whatsoever. And they were down bad last night.
Did Tatum go down? Didn't Tatum go down for a little while? I'm not sure if he returned, but I believe Tatum went down at some point in that game.
No, it was Jaylen Brown.
Oh, Brown. Okay.
Yeah, it was Jaylen Brown that went down in the game, but yeah, they will be playing tomorrow at 7:30 in Boston. And then the New York Knicks mollywopped the Atlanta Hawks 140-89, winning their series 4-2. The Knicks will be the first team to move on to the playoffs, and they will get to see if they play the 76ers or the Celtics. We really don't need to talk about that. We kind of all felt as though the Knicks were the better team. Atlanta just kind of like capitalized off the Knicks being the Knicks at times. But I want to talk about the most surprising series of them all, and that is the Minnesota Timberwolves beating the Denver Nuggets 110-98 without Dante DiVincenzo, who is going to be out for a year with a torn Achilles. And of course, Anthony Edwards is out for extended period of time with a knee bone bruise. David, I have never seen a team that just does not care. They didn't
give up. There's no quit.
When I say Jaden McDaniels is one of the funniest. That man literally said in game 1, he said, yeah, none of them can play defense. All you got to do is really go right at them. And he was correct. And a lot of people are going to look back at this series, and I've seen this commentary so far, and I want to get your opinion on it. What does this do to Jokic's legacy? Does it expose him as a player and maybe as a leader? Because a lot of people have didn't go back to that year they won the championship and are like, hey, you really only beat 41 teams to get the championship, and then you beat an 8 seed in Miami. What do you think that game or this series means to his legacy?
I don't think it affects it at all, honestly. With Jokic, this is the thing. Jokic doesn't even try to be good at basketball. He's just good at basketball. He looks at basketball as his job. Like other people look at it as like, this is my life. This is my passion. No, Jokic leaves. He doesn't even, I remember when they won the championship, he didn't even want to go to the parade. He's like, when's the parade? Damn, I'm trying to get back to my horses. I'm trying to go back to Serbia. Like, this does nothing because Jokic doesn't care. if this affects his legacy or not. It's really the talking heads that really want to like moan and complain and say, "Oh, what's going?" Look, Jokic is a multiple-time MVP. He's an NBA champion. He has nothing to worry about. It's like I want to make an anime reference, but I'm not. It's like
I'm so glad
people
you.
that,
I'm so glad you stopped
yeah,
yourself. I'm really
yeah,
glad you stopped.
yeah. I
yourself.
stopped because I'm with you, and I couldn't do that. But he just does so effortless. You can tell he doesn't train as hard as everyone else. You can tell he's not in the lab. He works on his basics. He's a big body. He's a big guy, and he's able to make that work. Can you imagine if Jokic worked 50% harder, the player he would be? That's why I feel like it wouldn't affect his legacy at all. He simply just doesn't care. And if this was somebody with the ego or diva personality like Kevin Durant, I would say this affects their legacy tremendously. How are you going to get this far? How are you going to lose to a team with no weapons? But Jokic doesn't care. So the fact that he doesn't just proves to me that this isn't going to affect his legacy. What are your thoughts? That's my opinion on it.
Honestly, I think it should affect his legacy
Why?
because if you're an elite player and we hold you at the level of a LeBron James and a Michael Jordan and all these guys and everybody say
Well,
Jokic is the best basketball mind
I
you've
don't
ever
hold
seen.
I don't hold Jokic to that level.
I don't hold him to that level. But if we're going to, what I'm saying as in if people in this industry and people that you talk to are like, Jokic is the greatest basketball player, he might be statistically the greatest basketball player. Okay, statistically, if you are the greatest basketball player of all time, if you are someone who has won, what is it, like 3 MVPs now, almost? I'm pretty
I've
sure
never heard anyone mention Jokic, LeBron, and Jordan in the same conversation.
Oh my God.
This is the first time I'm hearing this. I'm
I've heard
baffled.
this conversation so many times, not even gonna lie. But if you're gonna hold him in a regard as he's gonna go down as an all-time great, as a Hall of Famer, and all this, you cannot be getting punked by Jaden McDaniels. You cannot have a man say that with a straight face, yeah, they're soft. They can't do nothing. Their defense is whack. Go up and run up on him post game. He looking at you like, "What you doing, man? You're not doing nothing." Like to get punked by a man with
Jokic doesn't get punked. Maybe the other players on the team get punked. You're not punking Jokic.
He literally got punked.
You can call a lot of big soft. You can't call Jokic soft.
That was the fastest I've ever seen that man run.
And first
at the end of that game,
no, a lot of people can call Jokic soft all they want, but they're not going to be talking that smack if his brothers are sitting in the crowd.
Absolutely not. Well, his brothers are always sitting in the crowd.
Yeah, they're not doing that. Like, how many times have we seen Jokic get into scuffles, no matter who the player is, and things like that? I don't know. Let's see what the chat has to say if they think Jokic is soft. I don't think Jokic is soft. I think he's edgy, and I think he'll fight at the end of the game. I mean, yeah, they lost, but you can call the other people on that team soft. But to me, Jokic doesn't play a soft game.
He doesn't play a soft game to me, but a lot of people do think he is soft. But he has 3 MVPs. I'm sorry. Winning 1 MVP is a big deal. Winning 3 MVPs and almost all of them back to back to back is something that we need to like. Yes, it looks bad.
An NBA championship.
And an NBA championship. But it looks bad if you're going out in the first round and this team doesn't even have its best player. And look, Rudy Gobert, as much as I do not like him, that man literally started COVID. I want to say that right now. He is the literal reason why we had to stay in our house for 2 years. Rudy Gobert played out of his mind in that series. The role players played out of their mind in that series. You, as the 3-time MVP, cannot be beat by Rudy Gobert and the Minnesota Timberwolves without Anthony Edwards. That's just not. That's not gonna cut it.
Well, Julius Randle's on that team.
I forgot about him. He's
Julius
irrelevant to
Randle's
me.
That team. He can't be irrelevant. He's an offensive threat, and Rudy Gobert still is a former Defensive Player of the Year.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, you cannot be beat by that, though.
Why does that surprise you?
Jokic is the 3-time MVP. He won a championship not even 3 years ago. Like, this is like that's a big deal to go out in the first round against a team without its best player, and one of his other best player gets a torn Achilles halfway through the game, and the games you lost where you weren't even close. It wasn't even close. And then at the end of one of those games, you don't play defense. The whole world sees you not play defense, but he makes a layup, and that's the fastest you run in 3 years. Come on.
I don't know about that, Autumn. Other players lose in the playoffs. I don't think losing in the first round is going to affect Jokic's legacy at all. I really don't. I really don't. Like you said,
I think losing in the playoffs is a big deal, though. I think losing in the playoffs, especially in the first round, is a big deal, especially when you're a 3-time MVP. Because this is the thing. You also have to think about the other multiple-time MVPs, right? If you win one more MVP, you're going to be up there with Michael Jordan and LeBron James.
Kobe lost in the playoffs, right? Kobe lost to Paul against Dirk.
But Kobe also has 5 NBA championships.
Yeah, LeBron lost in the playoffs.
Yes, but when was the last time
Pierce lost in the first round? Kevin Durant lost in the playoffs. LeBron has lost in the first round.
Don't you ever compare Nikola Jokic to that doo-doo man, okay?
He's an NBA champion.
He is. He's a 1-time NBA champion. Mm-hmm. That doo-doo man, I still don't like him. There's something about him. Still don't like him. But the NBA playoffs are well underway. I think the only second round matchup we have so far is the Timberwolves and the Spurs. They begin their series on Monday. And then everything will be decided specifically if the Lakers right now are up 56-37. So I'm pretty sure the Lakers are going to go on to play the winner. Who are they going to go play on?
Don't jinx the GOAT, but it's huge that the Lakers got Austin Reeves back last game, and the way he's been able to contribute and facilitate the ball gives LeBron the opportunity to play off the ball. So I wouldn't count the Rockets out yet because they played really well last game and they're a gritty team, and I'm sure they can.
The Thunder. It'll be Lakers Thunder. It'll be Lakers Thunder.
Does Luka come back next series?
Probably. Well, Austin Reeves came back last game.
They're going to need Luka against the Thunder.
Yeah, because I was like, what other team? I'm like, there's another team in the playoffs, but then I forgot the Thunder swept Phoenix. So they haven't. You had to scroll all the way back for their games.
Yeah, they've been on vacation for a little bit.
Yes. But yeah, let's move on from the NBA. Let's move into some Cleveland Browns news today. Well, over the last day, the Cleveland Browns officially broke ground on their brand new stadium, calling it New Huntington Bank Field. They are aiming probably for a 2028-2029 opening. The stadium will be in Brook Park, which I'm going to tell you guys is in Cleveland. It's just off the freeway. It's still right in Cleveland.
It's right next to Cleveland Hopkins Airport.
Literally, it's still in Cleveland. So I don't understand the Browns are moving out of Cleveland. No, they're not. They're in a literal Cleveland suburb like most stadiums. It's not like New York where both of their teams play in New Jersey. Literally, the Browns will still be in Cleveland. I don't understand this outrage of like, oh my God, the Browns aren't in Cleveland. Guys, they're in Brook Park. Brook Park is literally Cleveland. It's one street away and it's Cleveland.
So are you excited? I know you had, I know we're talking about the stadium and stuff. You have former team shop experience, right?
Yes,
I do. Back in the Clavs. Are you excited to see what they bring to the team shop with the Browns?
Of course. Yes, because the Browns, I actually know the person who does this. I shout out to Rachel. She is the Fanatics rep now over at the Browns. She used to be my boss at the Cavs. But yes, Fanatics will be holding the Browns down. David, do we have a word from Fanatics as our sponsors? I think we do.
I think we do. It's somewhere here. So if you're excited for the new team shop, you'll be excited to see what everything Fanatics has to bring. And here's a word from our sponsor from Fanatics.
Fanatics isn't just our name, it's who we are. Loyal, passionate fans dedicated to our favorite teams and the sports we love. That's why we're honored to be able to offer fans the world's largest collection of sports apparel and jerseys from all over the leagues, teams, and players you love. We feature a wide selection of gear from every league, including the NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, and NCAA merchandise, which allows us to serve fans from football, baseball, hockey, basketball, lacrosse, soccer, and golf, and everything else that gets your heart pumping. Go to fanatics.com by using the QR code on the screen right now to celebrate your teams.
Yes, Fanatics.
Definitely
support
don't wait.
those.
Yeah. Tell them definitely don't wait for the stadium to open. You see that
Definitely.
QR code at the top of the screen. Scan
Click
it
on
and
it.
get your jerseys now.
Yes, yes. Also, David, another thing that probably will be sold in the Cavs, well, not Cavs, excuse me. Well, I know this for sure is sold in the Cavs team shop because let me tell you something. Every time it would be sold in the Cavs team shop, I'd be like, yes, another thing gone. But it's definitely going to be sold in the Browns team shop, and that's some sports memorabilia. And where can you get that sports memorabilia? That is sportsmemorabilia.com. Whether it's for searching for a autographed baseball from your favorite World Series slugger, a signed football by a Hall of Famer, maybe a Bernie Kosar, maybe a Joe Thomas, you never know. Or even a famous soccer player's jersey. Hey, look, Columbus, they got a famous soccer team. They got a lot of people coming through there. Hell, we've had World Cup games, but if you need any of that, you can go to sportsmemorabilia.com, the web's leading source of authentic sports memorabilia. You'll find more than 500,000 authentic products from nearly every professional sports league team and players, and you'll find your next level prized sports possession with ease. Thanks to superb customer service and tremendous site experience, you'll have the satisfaction and peace of mind knowing that every product listed comes complete with the certificate of authenticity and is fully backed by sportsmemorabilia.com's lifetime authenticity guarantee. Go to sportsmemorabilia.com by using that QR code as well. Sports Memorabilia supports us, Inside Edge Network. But yes, guys, I'm gonna go back on my Browns rant because I just have to clear out here. First of all, number one, let me tell you, do you know how expensive it is to park downtown during a Browns game? Last year I paid $70.
I know.
$70 to park. You can't even get off at the exit of where the stadium is. You literally have to go around if you somehow, some way get near there.
Yeah, they shut down Route 2. You can't.
Literally.
You have to go all the way around the city.
And then Cleveland, because everything is monopolized here, all of the parking garages are owned by the same 5 people, so they set the same prices everywhere. So if you walk further down towards where Gateway is, it's only $20. But if you go further near where actual Huntington Bank Field is, it's $50 to $70. Cleveland's infrastructure, downtown Cleveland's infrastructure, literally is like cannot handle the Browns. I promise you. So if I have to go to Brook Park to see the Browns, okay, oh well, it's actually closer to my house. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care.
Well, one of the big things about it when we went to the Steelers Browns game last season, I know we're harping about parking right now, but people understand it's a big deal if you're from here.
It's so stupid.
Parked in the garage, which I was totally against, and I was complaining about it like a child the whole time. You can ask God. I said this is a terrible idea.
We're gonna be so late. You're gonna be so late.
This is a terrible idea. We're gonna miss kickoff. I was pissed, but the cherry on top for me is we get back to the parking garage and the doors are closed, right? And there's a giant line of people trying to get out. I don't know if they're too dumb, too drunk, too stupid. They couldn't figure out how to open the doors to get let out. So I'm walking around the parking garage for like 20, 30 minutes. Like, what the hell is going on? I tell them, just wait in the car. I'm gonna go figure this out. I walk down like 3 levels to where the exit is, and there's just a truck sitting there trying to push the button, right? He has no ticket in his hand. His ticket's still on his dash, and he's like, "It's not letting me out. I don't know what's wrong." He was saying it a lot worse. He was slurring really bad. He shouldn't have been driving. And I'm like, "Man, what are you doing?" I literally grabbed his ticket out of his window and put it in the machine and watched the gates raise. Given I understand, I understand his confusion slightly. I give him a small pass. Why did you close the gates in the first place? All the gates were open to get out. You need a ticket to come in or out. You have to pay to come in. You need a ticket to get out. Why close it? It's to induce panic. Everyone that worked there had left for the day. So there was no one asked for help. And it was a hot mess. It was a hot mess.
So you understand our frustration when I say I don't mind that they moved to Brook Park. I actually, some people are like, oh my God, they're moving to Brook Park. Please, please move them out there. We'll have more parking. We'll have more parking.
Well, not even parking. You know how I feel about it. If you don't go to games, you can't have an opinion. And that's what I honestly believe. I go to probably almost every single home game we have. Even last season, I traveled to Baltimore and I traveled to Pittsburgh, and I travel for these games. If you don't go to the game, shut your damn mouth. You can't have an opinion
It's not even
regardless of
if
how you feel.
if you don't go to games, if you don't actively travel downtown multiple times a year or just are downtown and have had to pay, you know that I paid hundreds of dollars in parking over the last like 3 or 4 years, almost thousands,
Just take
because
the
it
rapid.
just costs so much. No,
Just take the
no,
rapid.
no. But yeah, so they break construction. It says I said 2028, 2029 is the shooting date. And also it will be an enclosed stadium. Finally, somebody figured it out here in Cleveland to close the stadium. Now, this is supposed to bring, of course, more concerts, more more everything, and of course, the Browns will eventually try to shoot for the Super Bowl. And if you don't think that the Super Bowl would be a good idea here, it would be a great idea here. Literally, the Hall of Fame is less than an hour away. It would just be amazing to have the Super Bowl here. So yes, I understand why they have to move the team. And also the practice facility is 10 minutes away.
Yep, in Berea. Something crazy that people have been doing with this field. So all those houses in that area, they're going to skyrocket in price. And I work for a financial institution. I've said it before. I won't say which one, but we have customers come in saying how random people are knocking on their doors, offering them double of what their house is worth, simply because it's going to be a block away from the stadium, walking distance. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. I wonder what the concept is going to be in that area and how the infrastructure is completely going to change. Because when I went to AT&T Stadium in Dallas for WrestleMania a couple years ago, it was very weird because it's like it's going to be a similar idea where all around is like just a suburban area and people are walking from their house to the stadium, which is really cool.
Yeah. So it's kind of going to be like that, and it actually kind of came from the Atlanta Braves. So do you know like what the Atlanta Braves situation is?
No.
So the Atlanta Braves, they moved from Turner Field. I think it's either still standing or they're about to tear it down. But they moved their stadium and they built a whole brand new stadium. But with this stadium in mind, they were like, hey, let's just not build the stadium. Let's build the economy around the stadium. So they added restaurants, they added apartments, they added hotels. So essentially, the Browns are going to do the same exact thing with, of course, not only having it in a residential area like Brook Park. Like again, Brook Park literally it's Brook Park, then it's Cleveland, the next street over. I promise y'all.
Brook Park is literally a street in Cleveland. They share a road.
It's literally Brook Park Road. Literally everybody drives on it. But yeah, no. So the Browns are gonna do the exact same thing. They're gonna build like housing. They're kind of gonna build like a small town around the stadium. But I'm gonna list some of the things that is going to be in the stadium. So it's going to be the closest seats in the NFL, a revolutionary seating bowl design that brings fans closer to the field more than any other stadium. And they're gonna modernize the dog pound. Thank God those seats are hard on your butt. Okay. They're adding a transparent roof. This is inspired by the iconic atriums in Cleveland with natural light throughout the stadium. They're going to have a super theater concept that accommodates events for up to 75,000 attendees, which is amazing because people don't come to Cleveland even though we're the home of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They're gonna have the first of its kind roofing system featuring the first long span roof without a truss, sight lines, and design that are enhanced throughout the building, and more than 6,000 construction jobs and thousands of full-time positions are going to be offered in the stadium and adjacent. So it's look. I know some people are like, "What about the airspace? What about this? What about that?" Look, y'all. I'm very much anti-billionaire. I don't really like the Haslams. I think the Haslams have done a lot of iffy things, but you can't say the Haslams have not invested in this team.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot say that they haven't invested in the city, and you cannot say that they haven't taken the time to really look at the city and look at the team and say, okay, what can we do to improve it? And they've tried to do it year in and year out. Do I think they're great owners? Absolutely not. Do I think that they are trying? Absolutely. But we'll get to more Browns news. Mary Kay Cabot. Mary Kay, girl.
Oh man.
Mary Kay, girl. I be trying so hard to defend her because she's a woman in sports, but she makes my job so hard. But Mary Kay Cabot came out with a report. Essentially, the Browns are having mini camp, the rookie mini camp and regular mini camp, and she has indicated that Deshaun Watson has taken the next step.
Mm-hmm.
And Shedeur Sanders has not. And this has caused a lot of blowback, specifically from Shedeur Sanders' brother, Shiloh. Shiloh was caught on stream telling her to go make a sandwich. Why? It just seems like we can take 2 steps forward with this team to be like, oh my God, nobody is going to say anything stupid about this team. And then somebody does something that brings so much attention. When I say you look up the name Mary Kay Cabot, Yahoo Sports, USA Today, People.com, Heavy.com, The New York Post, TMZ, all have articles about it right now.
No. And that's anytime there's I feel like she thrives off of breaking controversial news with the Cleveland Browns. Even back with Baker Mayfield and everything leading up to his departure from Cleveland, I felt like she was a front runner and held the reins for a lot of that.
Mm-hmm. She definitely was.
Well, I know she allegedly says, well, she definitely says that allegedly Deshaun Watson will be, he's leading the way right now. He's the starter, but realistically, Mudkin's not going to, he's not going to name a starter at all until the end of summer minicamp in June. At least that's what I've heard. So realistically, what if, Autumn, we're sitting here come September?
What, in less than 6 months?
Deshaun
and he's
Watson,
the starter?
Yep. And he's the starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. And everyone is pissed off. They're like, what are we doing? Game 1, lights it up, throws 6 touchdowns, 350 yards, gets the dub. What would your reaction be?
Bad quarterbacks can have a good game every once in a while.
All right, but then what if he does it the next game? And what if he strings together a 10-win season and makes the playoffs?
You are shooting for a star that ain't there, buddy. I'm gonna just tell you right now.
Look, I'm a cup half full kind of guy.
Deshaun Watson, okay. Let me be for real. Like for real. I'm gonna be for real. Like I'm being dead ass right now. Dead ass for real. I don't really care for Deshaun Watson. I don't understand why the Browns traded for him. Personal life aside, he's a terrible person in his personal life. That's just something that I don't like him. But quarterbacking aside, you had a man come in off of injury, right? He didn't play for his first year that he was here. He plays towards the end. He spends 1.5 seasons as starting quarterback. We really don't see much of anything. We see some flashes of good here and there, but he's not really the same Deshaun Watson that he was when he came out of Clemson. He's not played for almost 2 full seasons now because he gets hurt very early on into his last season that he played, which is almost 2 years ago. It's mini camp. They're not hitting each other. It's not game time. It's all of that. I do not think Deshaun Watson is your future. I know that people are like, you have to give him a chance because of that contract. Absolutely. The contract is disgusting and they have no choice. But he is clearly not your future. What the Browns did in the draft did not do anything to build around his talents. It's clearly to build around Shedor's talents. Todd Monken, the Browns coach, literally talked about how he recruited Shedor in high school to come play for him in college. He tried to get the Ravens to draft him last year twice. And now he's in a place where Shedor is finally his quarterback. I'm sorry, Mary Kay. That will not happen.
Well, I will say the Browns aren't necessarily building around any quarterback. They're
building a team, but they're not building around
a team,
Deshaun Watson.
But they're also not building around Shedor either. If a better quarterback comes along, depending on where we are in the draft next year, or if some miraculous reason one of these stud quarterbacks come to us in free agency, unlikely, but they're building for any quarterback that can win. That's why they're revamping the offensive line. That's why they went out and got two of the top 25 players that were wide receivers. In my heart, I don't think for the next 2-3 seasons we're going to win anything, to be honest. We broke ground today for that dome, and I feel like they're building a team to target winning once we get to that dome. I truly believe that in my soul. Well,
I could see that, but at the same time, there is no way that Deshaun Watson has been on this team for almost 6 years now. He's played 2.5 full seasons. What is he like for real? Like I'm when I'm saying this, I'm dead serious. What has he's shown you in the 2 full seasons that you're like, you know what? Let's make him the starter. He's shown you nothing. He's given you nothing. He didn't even get you to the playoffs when you made the playoffs. Joe Flacco did that.
The one positive thing I've seen from Deshaun Watson in the entire time he's been in Cleveland is coming back into the program and trying to mentor Shedor Sanders. That is the only positive thing. Nothing on the field I've seen. I can't point out one specific game. I'm sure he had that. It was one good game, but my brain's foggy because we did so bad that season that it didn't even matter. But for Deshaun, look, if you send him out there to die, send him out there to die. I'm convinced. Just if he wins games, he wins games. Burn his legs out to the end of the contract. I know that sounds selfish. I know that sounds wrong, but he's robbed this for him. He's robbed this organization.
He deserves it. He deserves carpet burn, rug burn, any kind of burn. Burn it. Okay. All of it.
Jesus, Autumn.
I'm sorry. I don't like that man. Like, I didn't even like him when he was in. Look, I don't think y'all understand. Like, I genuinely don't like people who look. I may not be the Browns' biggest supporter. I probably am their biggest hater. I hate them so much. They exist for the reasons to torment my life, as well as other Cleveland sports teams. But I remember when he got drafted to the Texans. When he got drafted to the Texans, he was so excited because he specifically told his team if the Browns tried to draft him, he would say no and he wouldn't show up. So you already come in with this negative attitude, and then you come in off of a catastrophic injury, because I think people forget, like, he wasn't just on the bench because of the off-field stuff. He literally tore his ligaments in his knee.
Mhm.
So you're coming off a catastrophic injury, and you have not been the same since you were those first couple seasons in Houston. Like,
Well, not
I
not
don't,
only that, when we
I
signed
don't get
him,
it.
when we made the trade for him, he posted an Instagram photo. You guys can look it up. I didn't know this conversation was going to go this way, or I would have brought it up. In his Instagram, when he posted his Cleveland Browns jerseys, you can see the Atlanta Falcons jersey in the background. He was
Literally.
set. He was set for Atlanta. Not
He
only that,
was.
not only that, his best season before his injury. I've stated this multiple times on air. I preach it honestly. With the Houston Texans, who were his two wide receivers? DeAndre
Honestly, yeah.
Hopkins and Will Fuller. What happened to DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller once they left the Texans? They both got knocked for PEDs.
Mhm.
Once Hopkins went to Arizona, he got caught pissing dirty. And once Hopkins left and Will Fuller, I can't remember if he left or if it was with the Texans, he also got knocked for PEDs. So that only leaves me to believe that the rest of that wide receiving core was on PEDs. It wasn't just two guys. We already seen how the Houston Texans covered up everything with Deshaun Watson for so long before it finally came to the light. I can't categorize someone's MVP season, even though he didn't win the MVP, with a wide receiving core filled with steroids. Like that's a knock in its own.
Yeah, so he actually left in free agency. So his last season was the 2020 season, which he got caught for PEDs,
Mhm.
and he missed the first game of the 2021 regular season. He signed a 1-year, $10.6 million contract with the Dolphins, which is also the other team that Deshaun Watson was going to go to. He suffered a broken thumb, and then he wasn't re-signed, and he hasn't been in the NFL since. So you think about this. I think DeAndre Hopkins is the only one that's still in the league that's
Right.
kind of producing. But yeah, no, like Deshaun Watson, I didn't understand why. I still don't understand why the Browns gave him that contract. I think that was a Paul DiBatesta move, and we've seen
And that's
the
why he saw
aftermath.
Diva
Yeah.
gone.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no. So the Browns, mini camp, Mary Kay Cabot is gonna marry Kay Cabot. I just want them to ignore her. She's like the female Tony Rizzo. Like, please just ignore them. Like, they just say things to get clicks. But I know you wanted to talk about also, and we're coming up on an hour here, and we kind of got a little bit more time. We wanted to talk about the WWE releases after WrestleMania. I'm going to name some of the notable names that got released. So over 20 plus superstars were released. So you had the entire lineup of the Wyatt Six, which is the team named after late WWE superstar Bray Wyatt. His brother Bo Dallas, who was Uncle Howdy, gets released, and the entire lineup of the Wyatt Six gets released. From the main roster, you get Kairi Sane, Aleister Black, Zelina Vega, Santos Escobar, Zoe Stark, Nikki Cross, Dexter Lumis, Motor City Machine Guns, and Apollo Crews, which I didn't even realize Apollo Crews was still on the roster. And then from NXT, you got Joe Gacy, Alba Fry, Andre Chase, Dante Chen, Malik Blade, Luca Crescifino, Tyra May Steele, Chris Island, Tariq Igwe, Trill London, and Sierra Linton. All released right after WrestleMania. Look, David, I'm going to just say this. TKO is going to TKO. Just like I said, Bigger Staff is going to Bigger Staff. TKO is going to TKO. Since they have taken over WWE, they have made some of the worst decisions possible.
Look, one of the biggest shockers of that, and there's a couple of shockers on that list, but the first one that really got me thinking, like, what the hell is going on, is Kairi Sane. Kairi Sane was a workhorse. She was there every week. SmackDown, Raw. She was on everything, and I didn't get to see that episode of SmackDown because we were on air, but she's been on every single show leading up to her cut. She was in the middle of the storyline. Then after her release, they still mentioned the Kabuki Warriors live on air, which it really didn't make any sense. She did make a post afterwards showing that she was back in New Japan, or in Japan, not New Japan, but she was back in Japan. It's just really confusing. Like, she has had such a key role in the women's division with Asuka and the whole Io Sky thing. I thought they were going to move in a direction where Io Sky was eventually going to turn Kairi Sane to turn on Asuka. Is genuinely what I thought we were coming to see, especially after WrestleMania, just for her to get cut. So she did leave Asuka, but TKO said, we're not even writing it in a storyline. We're just getting you the hell out of here, which honestly, it didn't make any sense to me. The other releases.
Also, I forgot to say, AJ Lee also, her contract was up right after WrestleMania, so she leaves as well. But what were you gonna say?
The Aleister Black and Selena Vega.
Well, they're a married couple, which I'm glad they're leaving together, but they did nothing with him once he left AEW.
Once he got here,
nothing.
Look, so when he came back to the main roster and he came back to WWE, they had him get a pin over Randy Orton. How are you going to have someone like Aleister back? You're building him up. You just brought him back. He just left AEW. He gets a pin over the Viper, and then you don't push him after that. They do cameos in other people's skits where they're just in the back talking the whole time. They did them like they did Karrion Kross.
Oh my God! Yeah.
I keep reading this rumor. I don't know if it's true or not. It's a rumor for a reason. But it's a lot of like wrestling pages and outlets. Nothing really notable, but they're all basically saying the same thing about TKO. Is they really don't like the darker characters.
Well, it's
they don't
clear
like that kind of aura. Like, they don't like that aura. And that's really weird to me, especially a business built off someone that was called the Dead Man, was one of the biggest phenoms for 20 plus years. Kane was one of the biggest phenoms for 20 plus years. And you're not giving the darker characters to push. You even see a little bit of a change with Alexa Bliss. She's sweet dark, and she was with Bray Wyatt, and now when she comes and she's involved, they have her paired with Charlotte Flair. She does have a little bit of a dark vibe, but that's about it. It's nothing. The Charlotte tag team doesn't make sense to me at all. They were just trying to turn Charlotte face, but it just doesn't make sense. I was at the show in Cleveland when Charlotte returned and they booed her out the building. She was shocked. They were not expecting that response.
Okay, I'm gonna break this down. Well, we know TKO as a company it's been terrible. Mm-hmm. They did this whole inserting celebrity storylines that everybody's like, why are you inserting celebrities like Pat McAfee and everything, which made CM Punk go off on them.
I kind of like Pat McAfee.
But I think Pat McAfee is a good personality in WWE, but I don't want to see him wrestle.
So the thing is,
I don't want to see him
Pat
wrestle.
McAfee doesn't need WWE, and WWE doesn't need Pat McAfee.
Absolutely not. I would have said, like, if it was like 4 or 5 years ago, yes, because Pat McAfee was still trying to establish himself as a personality in sports or in sports entertainment. But at this point, they don't really need each other. But the backlash of all the TKO celebrity storylines have been terrible, which is why they dropped the TKO celebrity storyline going into WrestleMania. The Charlotte backlash, Charlotte hasn't been well liked for a very long time. Charlotte has not been faced for a very long time. Charlotte, people don't like Charlotte, not only just because of nepotism, but because of the things that they've heard from the women in the locker room, the Becky Lynches, the Mercedes, the people that are like, hey, like she's not really a nice person. She's not really a helping hand. When Becky Lynch is like, yeah, people thought like me and her falling out was fake. And she was like, no, it was real. She really tried to sabotage me. She really didn't like that I was like getting more attention than her. I think that's another factor. And then it doesn't help that her dad is Ric Flair.
Right.
It doesn't help that her dad is Ric Flair, and people have their opinions. Like some people like him, some people don't. But the Charlotte of it all, I just think TKO as a whole company, you can tell where Triple H is like, I'm trying to be the Triple H of like early NXT, and then you could tell when TKO is like, no, you can't do that. Completely scrap it.
Well,
like I told you.
Even Selena Vega, when she released her statement, and she kind of broke down on her live stream too. She said that it wasn't the normal WWE officials and people in the back office that gave her the notification. It came straight from TKO. And they publicized it before she had the chance to even say anything.
And I think TKO is probably going to be their downfall, because I think we talked about this very early on in the show, not this show, but like other shows, of how they have no respect for women's wrestling. And I told you this. I said that their biggest problem right now is nobody cares about that women's division. And look at what's happening to that women's division. You have somebody actively involved in a storyline get released. Actively involved in the storyline get released. And I've seen the whole thing of like, maybe it was a release that isn't a release. Maybe it's a contract debut. It's an active storyline and an active push of multiple wrestlers, and they got released. You have the fact that people are finding out through Instagram. You have the fact that the women were given less than 30 minutes. 30 minutes in WrestleMania. Paige had her return leak. AJ Lee, in her last match before her contract is up, loses.
Yeah.
Like, you have no respect. And it's
I wouldn't say look, AJ lost for a reason.
Yeah.
AJ lost for a reason. Since she's been back, she's had a lot of terrible matches and a lot of cringy promos. I was excited for her return, but it was obvious, especially when going head to head with Becky Lynch, that she just was no longer on that level she used to be. And the women now are just way more talented than her. That it doesn't even look right, her being in the ring with them. It looks like night and day.
Well, you have to think, she also came in she was the best wrestler of the Divas era. Think about that. She was the most technical wrestler of the Divas era. She's the only one that knew how to wrestle. And even then, she had her moments. So then you have the fact that she was away for almost 15 years, and she hasn't really wrestled since she's been gone. It's not like she left and she went to a TNA, or she got picked up by AEW when CM Punk was an AEW. She literally has not wrestled since. So yeah, no, if she's having bad matches, I can understand. But you still brought her back for a reason. She still has a legacy, and instead of letting her go out on top and letting her be celebrated, she loses, and that loses your momentum. Again, Paige coming back is such a big deal. Knowing what she's been through, knowing the injury concerns, knowing her off the out of the ring stuff, and you spoil that. You leak it and spoil it. Like, it was just like thing after thing. And then the fact that night one, the women get less than 30 minutes. You have, like, there's just so much wrong with TKO. And I'm like, when is Triple H gonna wake up? Like, you could be, remember when Triple H
doesn't hold the keys anymore. They don't hold the money.
That's the problem.
And that's the problem.
Because remember when he first introduced NXT, and he just was like, he was cooking. You could tell he was cooking.
It's almost like, would it be worse if they brought back Vince, or would it improve the product?
David, don't make me slap you through this.
No, give me an honest. Who do you think would produce a better product, TKO or Vince McMahon?
Can I drink bleach? Because I
No.
think both would be
No.
bad.
You got to hit a would you rather, and this is one of those would you rathers, and it's TKO or Vince McMahon.
Unfortunately, I don't like. I genuinely despise Vince McMahon. I not even just like again like off the ring stuff. Like genuinely, Vince McMahon towards his end of head of creative made me so frustrated because he would do this thing where he would be like, all right, we got an up and coming wrestler. And you could tell he was a Triple H guy. And then he would be like, bring Brock Lesnar in, squash him. That, my God, I hated him for that. Every single time he would do it. So I'm going to just say this. Vince was way more out there. He was way more creative. He wasn't afraid to do stuff. I literally saw a video yesterday of that wedding, that the Teddy Long wedding, and just how insane it was. And I was like, this is truly a Vince McMahon creation, a Vince McMahon skit. But TKO, they got to get it together. They're going to ruin the product before. And look, this is the thing, is that you got them other companies that aren't doing that hot either. AEW, every time I hear about them, it's a hot ass mess over there. All you got to do is be better than AEW. And you can't even do that.
I do think they're a better product. I do think WWE is a better product than AEW. What I'm having concerns with is if they're a bigger product, or not bigger, but better product than TNA. Because after seeing that TNA show Rebellion here in Cleveland, I saw the best finishing move I've seen in probably in years. It was an insane 450 splash. Oh man, I'm what's his name? Hold on. Stand by. But TNA has been, their product is insane. The only thing I disagree with TNA, and it really pissed me off and it crushed my inner child, is going to that show and watching the Hardys lose their tag team titles. It's the first time I'm able to see the Hardy Boys, and they completely ruined my child. Like a part of me died. I don't think you understand. Jeff Hardy gets on the top rope. I'm like, oh, Swanton Bomb. Like I got so excited. I went to this pay-per-view and didn't even see a Swanton Bomb. There wasn't even a ladder involved in the match.
David.
It's a pay-per-view.
David. I know it's a pay-per-view, and I know it's the Hardys, but they're not even the same Hardys that they were.
I don't care if they're not the same. I don't care that they're not the same. I just needed someone to jump off a ladder. Is that too much to ask for? If I'm watching the damn Hardys, I want to see a damn ladder, especially at a pay-per-view.
When it comes to Jeff, I don't know. I just would want Jeff to be healthy, because every time he's in TNA, I don't know.
Maybe they need something to give them a boost of energy.
Maybe. But real quickly before we get out of here, going through some sports stuff. Prosecutors say no to charges against DK Metcalf after a incident during the season, which he slapped the absolute dog shit out of that fan. But they will not be pressing charges. F1 is in Miami this week for the Miami Grand Prix. Lot of big things, and also it is Kentucky Derby weekend. I want to actually bring up something very interesting, and we should end this show on this, and let's talk about the legacy of players. So one of my favorite creators, her name is Gab Gowdy. She is in Kentucky right now, and she says she went to a sports bar yesterday. Well, not yesterday, but the day before, and she was looking around, and she was like, Lamar Jackson is a 2-time MVP, played at Louisville, won a Heisman, and there's like no recognition of him anywhere, like at all. Like she was like, you can't go into sports bars and you can't see any photos of him. And I want to talk about the impact of the player. Do you think athletes are having the same impact that like athletes when we were growing up did? Because like you can't go into like an Ohio-based sports bar and not see something from like Ohio State from like 20 years ago.
Right.
You can't see anything Troy Smith or Ted Ginn or any of those players not related, like in a whole, like even locally in Cleveland. And it's just
I
like,
so
does
and
the
that's
impact matter the same as it did maybe like 20 years ago as it did today?
so I'm gonna say no.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it is, especially with the state of America that it's in. Um, the players just simply not speaking out as much as people did back in the day. Even with it's not only players, it's just athletes in total. Yeah, we have some people speaking out, but when they do speak out, they get blackballed and they really shut up after they get blackballed. Unfortunately, it's not like we had Muhammad Ali making a statement, say he's not going to fight in a war, giving up his boxing license, not being allowed to fight in America anymore. So some of the greatest fights of all time were held in the Philippines, like the Thriller Manila, and that's simply because USA Boxing wouldn't register his boxing license in America. And a lot of that we see now. It's more about the garbage we see now from athletes is like the nonsense with Clay Thompson and Megan Thee Stallion. They're more about that kind of image than doing an image that really matters. Like that means nothing. That is the all the drama and publicity that relationship is getting is it, it's comical to me. It's comical when these
Well,
these athletes don't make stances like they used to.
well, Clay is getting his ass torn up, and I, for one, am here for that. I've been a Clay Thompson hater since 2015, y'all.
Yeah, you're a
Um,
Cleveland fan.
Absolutely,
That's it. Like
100%.
I was glad when
Keep it
LeBron left
going.
so I could watch good basketball of the Golden State Warriors for a little bit. I was able
Um,
to enjoy it when it was not against Cleveland.
Hey, I'm a certified hater. But no, it kind of did disappoint me when she said she was like, what is going on here? And I think not
Well,
only is it do we have athletes that don't stand for anything and like where sometimes in this country you are, but I also think the culture of celebrating athletes is completely different.
but I also think what in her stance, she said she was in Kentucky. I
Hmm.
don't want to sound like this, but it's definitely a demographic thing. Um,
Well, it is Kentucky.
He's an African American quarterback that played in Louisville. I'm sure if
One
he
of my
was,
Heisman.
yeah, I'm sure if he was somewhere else, if he played anywhere else except like Virginia and Kentucky or Alabama, even Alabama, they love that. That's all they got is their football team. So he would have got praised there. But realistically, I think it has a lot to do being with an African American quarterback playing in Kentucky, and that's why he doesn't get the praise he does down there. Because
You are correct.
even here, you see like in more urban cities, in Cleveland, Chicago, Detroit, it doesn't matter. Even now, we had a couple players from the NFL get drafted. What's his
Carnell
name?
Tate.
Carnell Tate. But not only that, we had a kid that went to Glenville he just got drafted in the top 5 picks. We had offensive lineman from Strongsville that got
Hmm.
drafted. He played 4 years at Clemson. And I'm being completely honest with you. I forgot the offensive lineman's name because I never heard about him. But you know what happened? Someone came up to me and said, "Hey, did you hear about this guy? He's from Strongsville." Yeah. And that's one thing I feel like that's very special about Cleveland is we're going to support our athletes, whether you love them or hate them.
Hmm.
You're going to support the athletes that come from your city, and come from your state and your local. Look at when Norris Cole got drafted to the Miami Heat because
Oh my God.
he was a Cleveland State guy.
Was
We
not
spent
even from Cleveland. He's
yeah,
not
not
even from
no
Cleveland.
he played at Cleveland State and went crazy, and Cleveland loved him. We praised him, and I feel like cities like I mentioned it before, Cleveland, Chicago, Detroit, a lot of like Midwestern cities, urban cities, I feel like we have a certain aura and a certain appreciation for the athletes that come out, especially Baltimore, because we know they come from nothing when they're coming from our cities.
Yeah, honestly. And look, I will wage beef against Kentucky. I don't like that state either. Cincinnati is in Kentucky, it's not in Ohio. I will forever state that. Your major airport is literally in Kentucky. Half of your city is in Kentucky. You're not in Ohio. But no, I think it is a thing. Like, okay, I can prime example. My mom very recently, and I actually used to do trivia over there. I used to run trivia over there. There's this bar in Cleveland Heights called New Heights. It's called New Heights Grill. New Heights Grill is so centralized to Cleveland Heights and so centralized to that region that Travis Kelsey and Jason Kelsey literally named their podcast after this bar and grill.
Mhm.
And you go in that bar and grill and you know that these two people were from this region. And I, like I said, when I started this conversation, I'm like, there are places in Cleveland you can go and you will see pictures of people that haven't played in this league in like 40 to 50 years and played at Ohio State like 20 years ago. And you're like, yeah, I know who that is because like I've seen this picture 50 million times. And I think that's the disappointment, especially if you're a Louisville, Louisville, or as like they say, Louisville, your biggest star, because he made you a program, he made that program what it is to where you're a threat, is not even being honored. I think that's an insult. I think it really is.
No,
I'm like, it's an insult to him, and it's an insult to the sporting culture of just being a sports fan.
I would completely agree with that. There's no reason. You've been someone that liked Lamar Jackson for the entire time he's been in the NFL. You said some things about him when he was in college, but we're gonna leave those alone because we're talking good about him right now.
It was a long time ago. That was a long time ago. I can't believe you remember that. No, I stand by everything I say about Lamar Jackson. I think Lamar Jackson is a good quarterback. I think he's underestimated. I think he does have injury troubles, and that the way he plays football sometimes is going to prolong those injuries over the years. But winning 2 MVPs and a Heisman and essentially establishing yourself when nobody thought you were gonna be able to do anything, and people were literally saying Baltimore is stupid for taking you, and you go to like your hometown bars and there's nothing from your time at Louisville. That's an insult.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. I'm not saying build him a statue, but
Acknowledge that he was there.
Acknowledge him a little bit for what he's done and the attention he's brought to your school after he's been in the NFL, and the attention he's brought to your program, saying you produced someone like Lamar Jackson. That's an honor in its own, saying you're able to produce a multiple time MVP with your program. And I'm sure they have that conversation when they talk to recruits, when they talk to other quarterbacks. Remember Lamar Jackson is one of your favorite quarterbacks. Guess where he went? Guess where he won his Heisman? We can do that for you. But at the same time, is it really what they're doing, especially with the NIL deals? So that's going to be a conversation probably for a different day, but it's a sticky situation.
It really is. It's a real sticky situation because it's like kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. Oh, before we go, one last thing. The Cleveland Guardians were, as I saw like 5-10 minutes ago, they were up, I think 8-4 against I don't know what the hell they calling them. I think, oh yes, 8-4, bottom of the 7th against the Athletics, whether it be Sacramento, Oakland, Vegas.
Well, that's a big deal because we're coming off of
a bad skid.
Yeah, bad skid. What, 6 games straight or 3?
Yeah.
We lost the last series. We lost the last 2 series.
Yes, but they beat Tampa in the last game. They won only 1 game against Toronto. So I think it wasn't a 6 game, it was a 4 game skid.
Yep.
But
we lost both series.
Yeah, we lost both series. They've only had 3 series lost on the year.
And you said we're beating the A's right now?
Yes,
And that's
16.
really good because the
Yeah.
A's are leading. They're number one in the American League at the moment. So for
Mhm.
me, this was a big game for them to win to start building momentum and start trying to put together a couple games.
Yeah, and they're also 16-16 on the year. I think they're right around what I think they'll be. Their hitting has kind of plateaued. They started off really hot, and they kind of are at that time in the season where they kind of start making bad mistakes. But I think they can put it together. They called up prospect Travis Bazzana earlier this week, so I mean they're a young team. We got some growing pains here,
It's
but we can
baseball.
get
There's
some
a lot of
winning.
games. There's a lot of games.
Literally,
A lot of season
literally, we
left.
are 28 games in. We're not even a quarter of a way through the season. Not even close. But David, any last thoughts on the Cleveland Cavaliers or anything that we have talked about before we get out of here? Because it is the next day, and
Yeah.
somehow
It is
we are
tomorrow.
literally, and we both have to go to work in like
I
less
gotta be
than 10
I gotta
hours.
be up at 6 a.m.
Same. But any last thoughts before we get out of here?
Final thought on the Cavs game tonight. Not even the Cavs game tonight. It's going into game 7 and what we really have to do. Once again, sound like a broken record, but it works when we do it. Control the damn pace of the game. You know they're fast. Cut them off. Get them stuck in that half-court offense that they're terrible at, that they can't produce at. Once you let them run, they're already down the field. You hear their head coach in the huddles saying, run. I don't care. You get a steal, run. You get a block before anyone even gets the ball. 2 of you need to be running down the court. And they're playing such a fast and high-tempo game. That's part of their youth, but the Cavs have to make that adjustment. They have to be able to slow the game down. If we do not slow the game down, we'll have to do another wellness check on AA Sunday.
Yeah, we really will have to. And he's up. AA is up. I'm surprised he's not going to do his crack show after the midnight run after this. But no, I think final thoughts is they need to take all the positives from this game and apply it to next game. You know you can win. You've won at home. You need to take the momentum into the next series against whether it be Detroit or Orlando. They are much younger teams than you, but you are the veterans here. You know how to win. Don't let it happen. Be the veterans. You know you can be. Take the momentum. Take the positives. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do.
Yeah. One last thing before we go. We have a special clip here to play for the Inside Edge network that our producer Joel has been getting together for us. We love our producer Joel in the background. He really doesn't like to be seen, but we got to give credit where it's due. He likes to stay in the shadows. I respect that. I get it for Joel. Joe, but we're ready for that clip. That's sweet, Joel.
Yes, thank you, Joel.
Yeah.
But yes, you guys, we have an action-packed week coming up for you. So tomorrow, technically today, you'll have Real Talk with Papa Moon. You'll have your Game 7, which I can't believe we're saying this. Game 7 post-game show this Sunday. And then, of course, you'll have our regular lineup of shows during the week. I will be on this Wednesday at 7:30 with my co-host Christy Acuity on Jersey Chasers, and then David and I will be back next Friday for Mic Check Take 2. David,
until next time. Yes.
Until next time. Any more thoughts, regrets, anything?
I regret not having an extra shot of whiskey after watching that show,
or also an energy drink. W Energy that also supports us. I'm gonna tell y'all, energy drinks do nothing for me. In fact, I can go to sleep after drinking an energy drink, but still support us. Support the people that support us. W Energy. Use the code Mic Check Take 2. W Energy. Be better. But yeah, no, guys, we're gonna get out of here. Thank you all for watching us. We love you. Have a safe night. You're watching us at 12:11 in the morning.
We appreciate all of
So
you.
yeah, so I know a bunch of insomniacs when I see them.
All right. Once again, thanks, guys. Make sure you tune in to Mike Check Take Two next Friday at 7:00. Make sure you follow the Inside Edge and Mike Check Take Two on Instagram, Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, TikTok, X. You know the drill. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next week.
Deuces.
Peace.